That's the goal. First of all, I'm curious to where everyone's calling in from. You can unmute yourselves or just type in the chat box. Toronto. Is basically everyone Lindsay? Is that Canada too?
Yeah, everyone's from Canada.
All right, okay. Just me. Apologies for my British accent then. I hope you can understand everything that I'm saying. How are you doing, Laura?
Doing amazing. This is so exciting. Thank you so much for coming on here and doing this with us.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Like I said, I've been having some really bad back pain. So if I seem a little spacey, I took some painkillers. So I apologize. But I'll do my best to give you some good information this evening. First of all, I'd quite like to know, just to gauge everyone on the call, like, have you done any forms of breath work and what's your experience with them? Just so I can get like a rough idea.
Leslie's driving, but I'm pretty sure she did one of your online ones.
Yeah, I did the one. It was a couple months ago, online.
Now, how was your experience?
It was amazing. It was a lot more powerful than I thought it would be. I didn't really know what to expect from it, but it was a really good experience.
Awesome. Yeah, so I do a few different kinds of breath work. So we do like the daily breath work practices, which is synergistic or replacing meditation. But I do find that they go really, really well together, kind of like wine and cheese, you know. So I want to talk a little bit about that this evening, how you can, I imagine a lot of you already meditate. So it's like, how can you get more out of your meditation? But by doing breath work first, and then what I do and what I teach my clients is I always finish meditating after the breath work. And what you'll find happens is you can drop into much deeper states much faster. So instead of blocking off 2 hours to meditate, you can do 20 minutes of breath work, let's say, and then your meditation at the end can be a lot more peaceful, a lot more still, and a lot more powerful. So that in combination with psychoactive breath work, which is the other kind that I do, mine's called bioenergetic, which is based on holotropic breath work. So I know a few of you have done those kinds of sessions. So that's when you can really have some very deep transformative experiences. And it's breathing in a accelerated way with invocative music, which induces these altered states of consciousness, which is pretty powerful, or it can be at least. So my next question for you guys, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I got into breathwork in a minute, but I'd quite like to know, like, what brought you to the call today? Like, is there something that you're looking for? Is there something you're moving towards? Is there something that you're moving away from, which you think breathwork might be able to help you with?
You guys can feel free to unmute yourself. You can put it in the chat box. Hi, Joyce. Hi, Helena.
Hey, guys. Hey, doggy. Is that a dog or a cat? I can't see.
Dog.
Okay.
That's Luca.
Hey, Luca. Just looking to explore new experiences and opening myself up to change. That's awesome. I see Joyce now. Hey, Joyce.
Joyce, what is it you're looking to get out of breathwork tonight? Oh, wait, you're muted.
You're muted, Joyce.
I'm trying to do two things at once. So that's why I was late chiming in. So I may not have heard what I needed to hear.
We were just wondering if you were like, if you could get anything out of breathwork, like what is it you're looking to get out of breathwork? Have you done any breathwork before?
Well, oh yeah, we have to do breath work when we're laying still in bed to get in the meditation state. So yeah, that's what I mostly use it for. Or if I get too stressed and upset, you have to remember just to take a break and take a deep breath or two or three.
Sometimes more. That's awesome. I'm so glad you said that. Yeah, guys, please feel free to like chime up at any point. Like, it's good to keep this interactive. I know what it can be like when you're listening to someone for an hour or so on end and you're just sitting there. So please chime in with questions or just anything that you want to contribute with. So I'm really glad you said that, Joyce, because breath work, obviously we're breathing on a second to second basis, right? People might do a breath work practice in the morning, but what I really try and get people to do is to breathe consciously the whole day. And that's the stuff that's really, really going to make the difference in the long run. Because if you can have like a beautiful meditation or a beautiful morning breath work, could be 10 minutes, could be an hour, whatever. But then if you go back to like the rest of the day, then that's going to make the biggest difference to how you feel. So yeah, I don't know if you've ever had the experience where you wake up and you're really productive and you're like, you do a breathwork session or a meditation, you feel great, and then life gets in the way. And then by 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're super stressed and you're like, what the hell? I was in such a good mood this morning. Why is this happening? Generally speaking, we can look at the way we're breathing, and it's kind of like a cycle, because if you start to feel stressed or anxious, you'll start to breathe coherently with that, and vice versa. If you're breathing like that anyway, that's going to induce feelings of stress and anxiety. So it's really about, go on.
So how in the world does one stay conscious of their breathing all day?
Very good question. It's easy for me to sit here and just, guys, just be conscious of your breath, and then, you know, you're going to be super peaceful.
Yeah, it's the last thing I'm thinking about.
In a practical sense, there's a few things you can do, some more extreme than others. One thing I really like to get my clients to do, and I should explain something before I say, the biggest difference you can make to your breathing and to how you feel, because if you change the way you breathe, you change how you feel, you change how you think, and it's much more easy to think positively when you're breathing correctly. So the first thing I'll do with my clients is get them to mouth tape when they sleep at night, because then if you sleep for 8 hours, that's a third of the day breathing correctly. And the way I see breathing correctly is nostril breathing. There's a lot of science behind it, which I'm not going to go into too much, but the way I explain it, which is really simple, is the mouth is for eating, the nose is for breathing. And if you look at all the yogis and stuff like that, the way they get into really deep states of consciousness is by nostril breathing in various forms. So this thing is really the key. So it's like, how can I start training myself to breathe through the nose 24 hours a day? So if you mouth tape at night, and some of you might be nose breathers at night, but some of you might be mouth breathers, and it's generally speaking, most of the population breathes through the mouth. We learn this habitually. And there are certain societies and certain cultures all around the world who breathe through the nose, and they teach the kids to do that from a very young age. They actually block their mouth. There's a tribe, a Native American tribe, and they're all super tall, and they're like really good looking, have great bone structures. And this is all from just breathing through the nose, because they train the children from a young age. But what happens in Western cultures, we do the opposite. And it blocks our mouth breathing over time, blocks your airwaves. It leads to more serious problems, sleep apnea and insomnia and a whole other list of things. So if you can switch back to nose breathing, that's going to make a huge, huge difference, bigger than any kind of spiritual breathwork practice that I could teach you guys tonight. So like I said, the first thing I'll do is mouth taping. Because like I said, you get 1/3 of the day is sorted. A few indicators that you might be a mouth breather at night. You might wake up with bad breath. You might drool. You might feel lethargic. You might feel tired. Anything like that. So if you start doing it, and I'll actually show you. Why not? I just have to excuse me because I've got to go to my bedroom. So I use some like surgical tape, like the same stuff doctors use, because it's not adhesive. And then you just basically, it seems really silly, but I'm just going to find it. So,
You're gonna have us tape our mouth shut?
I'm just giving you recommendations.
You didn't think you were going to learn that, Joyce, on this workshop, did you?
I'm just giving you recommendations. I'm just Laura's crazy friend. So you don't have to.
I love that. It makes so much sense, though, right? Like that's like 8 hours worth of you doing it properly.
Yeah, it's true.
And then, Joe, do you find that if for your clients that do that, do they, because they're almost training their body to do that, like at nighttime, then during the day, they more often breathe normally, like how they're supposed to?
It's one of the things that I found makes the biggest difference. It's a bit uncomfortable at first, especially if you're a mouth breather. But also if you're a nostril breather, you might have nights where you breathe through your mouth. It might be on and off. It's not like you're definitely one or the other. It just depends. It could be the angle that you're sleeping at. You might breathe through your mouth and stuff like that. But what this does is it ensures that you're going to consistently do that. So what I'll do.
Wonder how I'm going to explain the duct tape tonight to my husband.
I have a girlfriend and she thinks I'm a weirdo, but I just do it anyway.
Elena's going to use the duct tape.
And like sometimes I forget, and a lot of this stuff, you notice it more when you don't do it, because it's only when we like crash that we notice like, oh shit, I was feeling really good, and you didn't even like kind of register it fully. You know what I mean? So what I'll do is I'll take off just a small piece of the tape. You're gonna laugh at me again, Joyce, and I'll just put it over like this, and that's it. You can still kind of, if you need to cough or whatever, you can still talk, but it will just ensure that you breathe through your mouth. If you do this and it falls off in the night, it's generally a good indicator that you've been mouth breathing, you know? And then you might find after 2 or 3 days, maybe a couple more, eventually it will stop falling off and you'll wake up with it and you're like, ah, cool. And the weird thing about nostril breathing is, especially when you've been breathing through your mouth your whole adult life, you'll find that it can feel restrictive because the airwaves are blocked. But then over time, over the course of a few weeks, it will get easier and easier and easier. So like, I don't know if you're ever doing sport, obviously it's natural when you're out of breath. If you can like stay in that state and keep your mouth closed, I'll actually like mouth tape when I'm working out sometimes. And it feels like you're getting less oxygen. You get that air hunger where you like want to gas the rest of you're doing this. But what the study shows, you're actually getting 10 to 20% more oxygen when you breathe through your nose.
Wow.
Which is pretty interesting. There's also a chemical called nitric oxide, which is a very, very beneficial chemical for the body. We actually have, I think they're called turbulites. I forget the scientific name, but you have like cavities on the inside of your nostril here. So when you start breathing through your nose, you actually release nitric oxide into the system, which is like really, really good for you. It's like Viagra for the whole body.
It's our blue drink. It's our Knox, guys.
Yeah. And then interestingly, how Viagra works is it releases nitric oxide in the body. So it's a vasodilator. So it actually helps with the blood flow around the body. So it's really, really, really powerful stuff. So that's the first thing I would do. Secondly, I would say just check in with the breath. And this is like one of those things, like the more time you give this, the more time you'll gain. So it feels like you're taking time out of your day, but what you're actually doing is you're becoming more productive, you're becoming more focused, you're becoming more calm, you're more likely to take inspired action. You know what I mean? So it's really worth taking the time out of your day. So what I'll do for my clients is get them to set reminders on their phone. I'll just get them to breathe consciously for, even if it's 5 minutes, has been shown that's enough to drop you back into that really relaxed kind of state that you had when you were in your meditation. So you, like I said earlier, you might meditate and feel really, really good, but after about 3 or 4 hours, those, and even though all of the effects are appreciating, it compounds over time, right? Their immediate effects are going to wear off after about 3 or 4 hours. So if you check in every 3 or 4 hours, that's going to make a huge difference to how you feel. So you can use it as a preemptive measure or as a countermeasure. Like if you're like have an anxiety attack or something like that, then you can take it rather than suffering. Just take the time to breathe. Or you can use it as a countermeasure. You might be feeling great, but even then it's good just to go sit down. I know it can be difficult if you work in an office or something like that, or you might be out, but you can kind of just consciously breathe when you're doing other activities. You don't need to think about it too much. We can actually try some now. I'll just show you what I do because it's really, really simple, but I just want to see how you feel from now until in like a few minutes time, because it's really, really fast acting. So the best things to remember is basically you want to breathe through the nose for 1, and you want to make the exhale longer than the inhale. So they always say relaxation is in the exhalation. So that drops you into what they call a parasympathetic nervous system state, and that's your rest and digest system. So you could like, it's like the sympathetic nervous system is not bad, but it like oftentimes, especially in Western culture with jobs and with life and stuff like that, we're all kind of too stressed anyway. So I find most people, although some people are pretty chill, most people sway towards that side more than that side in general. So maybe I can just share my screen. Can you,
okay, you should be good.
Okay, let's give it a go.
Does anybody have any questions so far? If
Yeah.
you do, feel free to throw them in the chat, and then Joe can get to them and answer them all for you guys.
All right, I'll share my computer sound. Yeah, let me know. So I actually like, this is just a little note. I actually really like these playlists on YouTube. So they're free, so you don't have to pay for anything. But when you're doing this stuff, unless you're in nature and you can hear like wind blowing in the trees and birds singing and like a little stream running, generally speaking, we're going to be in apartments or we're going to be in a city or something like that. So it's good to use music just to kind of drown out the stimulus. And it just helps create like a sanctuary, if you will. And it's really, really important to have a peaceful setting, because that's just going to tell your brain that you can relax. You know, if your fight or flight's activated, it's going to be much, much harder. So I like to use music even like in these intervals throughout the day. So if you want like a timing, like most meditations around the world, you find that you breathe in for 6 and breathe out for 6. So it's very, very slow. So you're breathing about 5.5 times a minute. And then if you were to count like your normal breaths per minute, it'd probably be double that or triple. So that alone is going to make a huge, huge difference. But generally speaking, I like longer exhales. So it might look like, so that was 10 on the exhale, and I already feel a bit different. So let's just all close our eyes and make sure your volume's all good. We're just going to play some music. I'll speak a little bit.
When we see Pleiadian ships, we see a sphere of light,
So you should take my speaker
because
off.
it's
Getting Gaia adverts. Can you hear that? Say yes or no. So close your eyes, guys, because obviously when you close your eyes, you're going to drop into alpha brainwaves much, much faster. You have less stimulus. So it's always good to do breath work with your eyes closed. And just take one big, deep breath for me. Through the nose. Hold for just a second. And then exhale through the nose. Slow as you can. Slow as comfortable. And just push it on that last second or two. Just continue that rhythm. Find that rhythm. Find what's comfortable for you. Have slightly different makeup, so there's no wrong way to do this, but just make the exhale slightly longer, maybe a third longer than the inhale. Just notice how much control you have over that exhale. Can you go even longer? Do you get short of breath? Does it feel uncomfortable? Does it feel nice? Just really go inside. Use the breath for anchor. Just notice, how does it feel to be you? You can use the music as a guide, as an amplifier. Music is very healing. It's been used for millennia by many different cultures for spiritual and therapeutic benefits. Just using the tools at our disposal. And as you breathe deeply, just notice if you've been breathing through the chest or if that belly is expanding fully, contracting fully on the inhale and the exhale. Don't be afraid to play about with the breath. For as long as you live, this is a tool that you have at your disposal. You may not be able to control all your external circumstances, but you can always control your breath, which means you can always control how you decide to show up in the world. You can control your emotions. You don't have to let them run away with you. Just notice in your body now, anywhere where you might be holding on to any tension. Anywhere where you can just let go. Breathe. Just see if you can slow down that inhale and that exhale even more. Just controlling your breath. How long can you make that exhale? Switch it up a little bit now. To contradict myself just a little bit. This is something you can do if you more as a countermeasure. I wouldn't recommend just doing this all the time. Use those exhales, but through the mouth. Make it audible. Breathe in and hold. If you're ever looking for presence, one of the easiest ways you can find it is between the inhale and the exhale. So it's always good to pause and exhale through the mouth. As you exhale, you can make a conscious choice just to let go of anything that you don't need. Anything that's not serving you. Just keep breathing. Notice, is it difficult for you? Is the monkey mind getting in the way? Thinking about when it's going to stop. Thinking about why isn't it working? You're starting to feel more and more relaxed. Maybe sleepy. Feel anything come up, any discomforts, you can visualize that coming up with the inhale, maybe from the chest, from the stomach, all the way to the throat, and on the exhale, you can just let it go. Just focus in on that feeling, breathe it up. Hold for a second and let it go. just relax now. Turn my music off. How's everyone feeling?
Amazing. Wow.
So I just wanted to show you, hopefully, how quickly you can change your state just by breathing. And vice versa on the other end. You can breathe in other ways. Like I could go to sleep. Yeah, so that's something you could do before sleep. And you'll definitely go to sleep faster, and you'll more than likely sleep deeper too, especially if you're mouth taping as well. I don't know if you've ever had the experience where you've had a busy day, maybe a lot's happened, and then you're sitting there with your mind racing. And oftentimes we kind of just try and distract ourselves when we have those situations. It's always good just, yeah, everyone's sleepy, good. It's getting late in Canada, right? I feel so relaxed, awesome. So it's really that simple. So I don't want to, if a lot of you meditate, I don't really want to say like breath work is better, because essentially you are just meditating, but it's just using various techniques to make the meditation more effective. That's kind of how I see it. So we can talk about some others as well. Who here has heard of DMT? You can put your hand up, or...
What does that stand for?
Stands for I know Laura's heard of it. It stands for dimethyltryptamine. So it's a chemical that we produce in our pineal gland, in our liver, and also in our lungs. It's used for dreaming and various things like that, but it's also the active ingredient in a lot of very powerful plant medicines. So you can actually breathe. Go on.
You mean like having visions?
It's possible. We don't, like when you take the plant medicines, then it's guaranteed pretty much, but it's possible to reach some pretty exalted states just from breathing, because it's very possible to release a little bit of DMT. It's not dangerous. It's a very healthy chemical for the body. It's there's a lot of science coming out, a lot of evidence that it shows it's antidepressive, anti-anxiety. It also treats addiction. So it's very, very useful. So you can, I'm not saying that you're going to go do this and you're going to start seeing crazy animals, owls flying around and stuff like that. But it is,
But
it
you
is,
can.
but you can. I've had people...
Joe said that because my mom did a breathwork session once a couple months ago, and it was like a longer one that we did, and it was the holotropic breathwork that Joe does as well. And my mom was like, there was like an owl that was just like wouldn't go away, and it was just like there with her. And it was so funny. We were bugging her because we were all like coming out of the meditation, out of the breathwork. My mom was still like seeing this owl.
And there were lots of animals.
It's pretty beautiful. So the goal is not, it's not like, oh, let's just get high on our own supply, although that can be fun. But like one of the other names for DMT is the God molecule. So it's not necessary, but one of the ways that you can experience being closer to God, if you will, or whatever language you like to use, whatever resonates, the universe, source, whatever. One of the ways we can do that is by breathing in a way that allows us to excrete a little bit of this hormone more than we normally would. There are some other factors. Your diet should be pretty clean. That does make a difference. If you look at the pineal gland, for example, which excretes this hormone, it can get calcified. So that could be bad food, that could be toothpaste, alcohol, cigarettes, pollution from the cities, et cetera, et cetera. So the cleaner you are, if you will, the easier it is to have kind of more profound experiences. I know a lot of us, when we meditate, although we just know it's good for us, but I think if we're honest with ourselves, we wouldn't mind experiencing some of those deeper states on a more regular basis. So something that I do is incorporate certain breathwork techniques into my morning routine, as well as doing the psychoactive stuff, which can kind of make that a lot more possible. So your sleep needs to be really good. For example, obviously the taping will help with that, because you have melatonin, which is the sleep hormone. And when that's in a surplus, you start to produce more DMT. So I've actually got a friend, I think he's out now. He spent 3 days or 3.5 days in a dark room. So what happens is, and the Taoists do this, no light whatsoever. So he's just by himself in complete darkness, and then your body starts to produce more and more melatonin. And then what happens is you get this surplus of DMT because it converts the extra melatonin to DMT, and then you have visions. 3 days probably isn't enough. I think that the Taoists say 10 days, and then you start to have some pretty crazy experiences. I'm not recommending doing that, but it's kind of interesting. But one technique I want to share you with is called fluttering. So that's a yogic technique. I have my own technique, which I call fire breathing, not breath of fire, which is like basically a very, very intense version. So I don't know if you guys have heard of Wim Hof. Probably most of you have. It's essentially Wim Hof breathing, but through the nose. So obviously, remember, you're getting all the benefits of the nitric oxide and stuff like that. Use this. We'll do one together if you want. Use this kind of sparingly. You don't have to do it every day. Like I said, most of us, you're deliberately activating your sympathetic nervous system. So that's fight or flight. So if you're already feeling anxious or something like that, or you're not super relaxed, this is not a great one to do. Okay. And it's also not something you should do right before bed. Okay. So essentially all you do is you breathe really fast and heavily through the nose. I'll normally do maybe 2 or 3 rounds of this. We can just see how everyone feels. If you feel like that's not something for you, you don't have to partake. I'm not going to make you do anything. I will demonstrate. So what you want to do is you kind of want to tilt your head forward, or upwards rather, just to allow air to come in through the nose. And then you're going to end up, what you can do is, if you look at my nose now, see how my nostrils like clench together when I breathe hard? You kind of want to, if you put your tongue on the ridge of your mouth, it kind of opens up the airwaves, so they won't block. So instead of doing that, make sense? All the stuff I'm going to teach you looks really stupid, just so you know.
I love it.
So what you want to do is you want to breathe 30 times. Then on the 30th, you want to breathe and hold until you feel a little bit of discomfort, and then exhale through the nose again, and then hold until you feel a little bit of discomfort, then relax. Like I said, you don't have to partake, but does everyone want to do that? You can just raise your hand. I can see most of you. Okay, cool. We got some people in. Okay. So this is great to do in the morning. This is actually great to do. You can either do it before or after your meditation. So if you're feeling super chill after your meditation, but you're like, okay, I've got a million things on my to-do list, this is a great breath to do. It just starts circulating energy around the body, obviously releasing all those good hormones, serotonin, and all the nitric oxide and all that kind of stuff. So we'll do it together. So just lift your head up, close your eyes. We're going to do 30. Just do it in your own time, but you can kind of hear me do it and kind of get a rough idea. So you're breathing like that, okay? And on the 30th, hold, and then relax. 3, 2, 1. And just let it settle. Your head might be throbbing a little bit. Heart's probably increased. When you're ready, you can just start breathing normally.
So is that one, Joe, that if like somebody say like, you know, like mid-afternoon, you kind of get that lull in like your day where you're feeling less energized, you could say do like, how many rounds of this would you say to do, just kind of like as like a little pick me up?
3. And it might take a few minutes. You might feel a bit like, ooh, I don't know how I feel. It might take a few minutes to kind of subside, and then you'll get all the chemicals and you'll start to feel really nice. I won't want to do more than that now because it's quite late and it's not what you want to be doing. You kind of want to be doing the opposite right now. Also, you can kind of, if you do have that afternoon slump, remember the mind follows the body. So it's if you stand up and breathe, like you can do that one. This is kind of one of the only times I'd advocate mouth breathing as well, just if you want to get more oxygen. So when you breathe like this, you get higher levels of carbon dioxide, which is actually a good thing. But there's more and more stuff coming out now about carbon dioxide is a really, really good chemical for the body when you have higher levels of oxygen. So what happens is, if you want to look at the kind of more scientific basis is when you have high levels of CO2, it forces your hemoglobin in your blood cells to dump their oxygen. So your tissues and your brain get saturated with oxygen. So you have more focus and more clarity. It's really, really useful. So you can kind of use your body as well, like stuff like that. I never do more than 3 rounds because otherwise you're tilting too far the other way, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does anyone have any
the first
questions?
one that you did was more like rest, relaxation, maybe in the evening before your meditation. And then the second one is more like energizing and in the morning.
Yeah, so if I do like a morning routine, what I'll do is like I have my own method called CFC. So that stands for calm, focus, charge. So I'll start off with like maybe the breath that we did before, which is just really calming, really relaxing breath. Some other techniques that I really like, alternate nostril breathing, for example. That's who's heard of that?
Is that the one where you like?
Mm-hmm. That's super, super powerful. It's funny, like a lot of this stuff, I do come up with my own stuff, but a lot of the best techniques have been around for like 2,000 years. It's just lost knowledge, and we're like, it's kind of like now, like the West is kind of catching up with stuff people have known for like a ridiculous amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So alternate nostril breathing is really cool because it calms you, but also energizes you, because each nostril is associated with a different part of the brain. So you got the masculine and feminine. So you got the more creative side, but it's actually the opposite. So if I want to get more relaxed, one of the actual quickest ways you can do that is just left nostril breathing. So that's, if you want to feel chill, you just block the right nostril. And just keep breathing like that. And then it's useful if you want to
like right to sleep. That's how I'm gonna remember it.
That's the kind of thing I do before bed.
Okay.
Like or let's say you've got a more creative task to do. Left nostril breathe, activate the feminine side of the brain, you know, get into a more creative, beautiful state. Again, if you've got like a more logical thing to do the opposite, block the left nostril. Like if you got to do your taxes or something like that. So, you know, it's really useful, but alternate nostril, you're activating both. So it's like energizing, but calming. So it's a way to balance the breath and balance the left and the right side of the brain, masculine and feminine.
Awesome. And if you were to do that, how many would you do in each nostril? Like, would you alternate back and forth? Would you do like a certain amount in one and then the other?
I'm quite not too strict with it, but I always like to, it's all about completion and cycles. So like you might notice actually when you breathe, if one of your nostrils might be more blocked than the other, maybe you've got your sinuses are a bit bunged up and stuff. What you'll find is if you kind of pay attention to it, about 90 minutes later, it's very likely that the other nostril will be blocked. So everything's always moving in cycles, right? So I like to kind of have a cycle of completion when I do the alternate nostril breathing. So I'll always start with a exhalation through the left nostril. And then I will inhale through the same nostril and then switch. And it's very much like the technique we did earlier. You want to make it very slow, very controlled. You don't want to go, that's not how we do it. It's like, and then you switch and repeat. Down, up, switch, down, up, switch, down, up, switch. If you do this for 6 minutes and then meditate, even that will make a huge difference to your meditation. It's really, really powerful, really, really useful.
And this is probably something like where like everybody's kind of different. So you can try them out and see what's best for you before your meditations, what you like, and then kind of just go with the one that you like.
Exactly. So what I'll do for my clients is I make them do a routine which follows the structure. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. And then I build upon that and they'll try different techniques and swap them out and stuff like that. And then after they get a little bit more advanced, they'll be like, okay, you got to make your own routine now. Because not one technique is right for everyone. You know, like the old expression, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So you'll find you'll get more out of different techniques. And then, yeah, that's kind of how I work it. But it always starts with calming breath. So yeah, like kind of like we did earlier, was a basis on a 4-7-8, especially when you do the mouth exhale. So it's in for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. That's a calming breath, or the alternate nostril breathing. Then we go into focus, and that's actually breath holds. And this is like very good for the mind, the body, and also the spirit, because it forces you past a certain point, especially if you start experimenting with like harder ones. One that I really like, just to give you guys something, is called a 1-minute breath. It's a good place to start, and it's really good because you can see your own progress like in a short space of time. Because when you do that, so basically what happens is one breath takes 1 minute. It's pretty self-explanatory. So what will happen is a lot of people, depending on their lung capacity and the control they have, is they'll find that maybe the first or second bit easy, maybe not so much, and then they'll fuck up the exhale. But then what happens over time is you get more control, and obviously as you get more control, you have more energy, you have more focus, and all that kind of good stuff. So we can try one if you want and see how everyone gets on. And you can type in the chat box how you did. If you managed the whole minute, I'll put a timer on. So you want to breathe in for 20 seconds. So already you're taking control of the breath, because it's like probably longer than you've ever inhaled in your life. And then you hold for 20 seconds. So you're getting that little bit of breath hold. So you're getting that buildup of carbon dioxide, which you know is good for you. And then on the exhale, again, you're controlling the breath, and you're also expelling all that excess that you don't need. So actually a lot of like monks and stuff in Tibet and the Himalayas and wherever, they say that like this breath is like the path to enlightenment. Like, so there are a lot of monks that will just do this. They'll just breathe like 1 breath a minute, which is crazy because they breathe 60 times an hour. Normally people are breathing like 25, 30 times a minute.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So you can kind of play about with it, you know. Let's try one together, everyone that's willing. So I think, you know, the best way to learn is osmosis. So if you're doing it yourself. So I'll put a timer on. You'll probably hear it go off through my headphones. So just as a quick recap, we're going to inhale for 20 seconds. As you inhale, you're going to fully expand the belly. That's going to bring out the diaphragm. That's going to allow your lungs to drop and fill with more air. Okay, so you want to take that full 20 seconds, or as best you can, to do the inhale. Then you're going to hold for 20 seconds on a full breath. And then you're going to take another full 20 seconds to exhale, all done through the nose. So it's a really good gauge to see how much control people have. Okay, so I'm going to count down from 3, then you're going to start. Okay, so in 3, 2, 1, start breathing in. Slow and controlled. Got 5 more seconds on the inhale. And hold. 20 seconds. 10 more seconds on the hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale slowly, as slow as you can. Control the breath, control the air. Almost there, guys. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. How did everyone do?
It's hard to do like 20 seconds all the way up, eh?
Uh-huh. Yeah. It gets easier, but yes, it's a really hard one.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of breathing that's going to make the biggest difference.
Cool.
Because you're pushing yourself. So it's almost like you're kind of meditating and giving your lungs a workout at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's often in the...
When I was doing them with you, like more often, like I could breathe, like it's crazy, like it opens up all the small little alveoli like in the bottom of my lungs that like normally, like when I'm breathing, like clearly I haven't opened them up in a while. So I need to get back into doing this, but it was like it does get easier because they're just more open, like they are more used to actually opening up. It's crazy. It's literally all practice.
It's all practice. And yeah, like when you have more control and this gets better over time, your lungs are gonna be stronger. You're gonna have a better cardiovascular system. This is gonna help with exercise, and it's gonna help just in your day-to-day life. How about doing, yeah, so what I normally do, if people can't do that, I'll say it's better to do 10, 20, 10, for example, because most people can do the breath hold pretty easily, or even not, like 10, 10, 10, and then work your way up. And then just like when it gets really comfortable, then add a couple seconds on, or a second even. Because you're only in a race with yourself, you know what I mean? So as long as you're improving, then that's what it's all about. Don't worry about other people. Any questions?
Cool.
I don't think.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I have a question. It's not actually related to what we're just doing here tonight, though. Sorry, I had to step out there. Got my granddaughter here, so
That's okay.
So I've missed a little bit. But I was just wondering. I've had a lot of times where, like at nighttime, I will wake up from sleep and it'll be like I feel like I can't breathe. Like I don't know. It's like a weird feeling. I feel like I'm kind of leaving my body. It's kind of weird, but I just wonder if you have anything that you could tell me about that sort of thing. Like if I just kind of like I wake up and I'm very like I don't know, like aware that I need some breath, right? But I just kind of like psych myself again, and then I kind of come back okay. But it's just kind of very startling at first because like I just feel like I'm going somewhere. Like it's weird. So I've had this like quite a while ago, but then like I haven't had it for a while, and then I did again just like recently. So yeah, I just wondered.
Okay. Is it like an unpleasant thing, or is it like kind of like, whoa, what's going on? Like,
Yeah, it's kind of scary. It's like you feel like, yeah, like I don't know, like I feel like I can't breathe. Like it's weird.
Does it feel like it's more like you said about leaving your body? Does it feel like it's more like a spiritual experience, or does it feel like you're just having breathing problems?
Like I don't know. I've questioned that myself like many times because it does feel like I'm going somewhere. Like I feel like I'm leaving my body. Like it's a weird feeling, but it is scary. And then I can just kind of like I don't know if I'm just saying no, I'm not going anywhere. Or, like I don't really know, but it's like it's just a strange feeling. It's not a pleasant feeling though.
Okay. That's interesting.
Not like it's like that sleep apnea or anything like that. I've already been and checked all that out.
Yeah. Yeah, if it was sleep apnea, I'd give you different advice. But if it's something like that, I mean, it's always scary when you can't breathe, right? Like that's a scary feeling. I wouldn't like, you kind of really got to listen to your intuition on that one. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because like maybe you need to see something, maybe you're ready for some kind of experience, which like even everyone on this call doesn't like fully understand. And you have to go into that experience in order to transform or to see what you need to see. But I got to be very careful of giving advice because I don't I don't want you to astral project or something and then not come back to us. Do you know what I mean? But that's like, yeah, that's tricky territory to navigate. But like my own advice would be to really listen and to really feel like is this, because you know often on the other side of fear is something good. You know, it's like a silly,
exactly.
You do the thing you're scared of.
Oh, there I go.
Yeah, so you know maybe that's what's happening. Because I mean, if you've already been tested for sleep apnea and stuff like that, then I can't really. It's obviously not going to be anything kind of mainstream.
Yeah, exactly. That's yeah. Okay. I just wondered if you had any like kind of input, like from maybe somebody else saying the same kind of thing, or you know whatever. So yeah, no, that makes sense.
Joyce, I know you unmuted yourself. Do you have something to share about that?
Get that too.
I figured Joyce might have something to share.
Yeah, you betcha. Just a second.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
good. Yeah,
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Well, Joe, do you ever do any talks on astral traveling or anything?
it's not my area of expertise. I've had experiences when I've done plant medicines, but not through breathwork. Although some people on my doing my breathwork have, but it's not an area of expertise for sure, if I'm honest.
Well, years ago, I used to have a lot of visions and astral traveling and stuff. And after quite some, after, recently, it started to renew itself. And I know it's because I'm more in tune with my mind, body, and soul. And so I'm looking forward to that continuing to get better and better. But yeah, so it's quite an amazing experience.
So your advice would be just to kind of go with it.
I am going with it, yeah.
I mean, for our friend here.
Have you experienced like what my mom said, Joyce?
No, I've never ever experienced anything about not being able to breathe. I always make sure that I'm very well grounded, and when I travel, I always travel in my tunnel, and I always know that my guides are there, and I do a lot of praying for them to be with me and not leave me, and make sure that I get home safe. So I guess maybe I would do that when you pray to make sure that they make sure you get back home okay.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea. Maybe
Yeah.
before you go to sleep, you can kind of set some time to kind of get into a state where you're ready for that to happen and you're open to the experience. And like you said, you pray and call for guidance and for support and for protection.
The reason I turned this off several years ago is because I did have some bad experiences. But I made sure that that's not going to happen this time around, because I'm not going to turn it off again. This was meant for me to be able to experience, and I'm going to take it all the way.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Like when you're doing this kind of thing, it's like, it's such like uncharted territory, and there's not like it's hard to find people that have had exactly the same experience. So it's like, you've got to kind of be very respectful of the experience. But I would also talk to people that, you know, I'm sure you know people that like, just ask around. I mean, Laura will definitely know people that can help with that. Like Laura Keenan, for example, he used to do it a lot deliberately. I'm sure he'd have some pretty good advice on that.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Sorry I can't be more of help.
Thank you.
There's the other thing I'm thinking of is perhaps there would be a way, maybe through the breath work as well, we could look at doing that to deliberately induce this, or at least get yourself into a space when you're conscious, when you're awake, where you could maybe look into that experience. So you could set the intention of doing that, and then you kind of could go into that experience in a much more controlled manner. Because what's happening when you're sleeping is you're getting into your subconscious mind, and you're going deep into deeper brain waves. So you're getting there just by sleeping. So maybe if we do it whilst you're awake, then that could be something that could be beneficial, because you'd feel safe and you'd have a lot more control. And if it gets scary or uncomfortable, you can always slow down the breath, so you have a much greater idea of control.
I'd also ask Ashley about it, because she could maybe do some hypnosis stuff too.
That would also be really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, do we have any other questions, guys? I just noticed Andrea's gone. Been an incredible workshop. Thank you, Joe and Laura. You're welcome, Andrea. I guess we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Does anybody else have any questions?
No.
We can maybe like come up with like a handout or something that I can like type up, or something that like kind of has those few breaths that we went over, just so we can have them.
We could come up with like a little routine. So it might be alternate nostril breathing, and then we could be the 1 minute breath. And then it could be the fire breathing, because we've just had one technique from each. And then they could use that before their meditation and experiment with it.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
See how much of a difference it makes to the whole thing. For sure. So yeah, this has been awesome. That's a great idea. I took notes, but the answer good. That's all right. we'll do something for you, no problem.
I love you, Helena.
But yeah, so just
They're not very good.
just to round up, like basically, if you could take one thing from this call, it'd just be to breathe consciously. And obviously we've given some practical ways in which you can do that. Do the mouth taping at night. You can check in with the breath, put little alarms on your phone. If you want to take it to more of an extreme, like sometimes if my clients are really bad, like sometimes I can see them on the call and they're like, I'm like, how's your breath work going? They're like, yeah, it's really good. Yeah, but I'm feeling a bit anxious today. And I'm like, why do you think that is? I can literally see you on the call like that. So if it's a little bit more extreme, but you can actually tie like a shoelace or a string around your waist. And this will just like, you'll feel it there. And it will just, you'll kind of feel it every so often, every few minutes. And you're like, oh yeah, breathe through my nose and breathe through the belly. So you can literally like counteract that throughout the whole day. And this will make a huge difference. Like it will take, you might feel immediate benefits. It might take a couple of days, it might take a few weeks. And like I said, often with this stuff, it's when we stop doing it that we realize how beneficial it was. You know what I mean? With all this kind of work we do on ourselves. So just be consistent with stuff. Even if it's just like that little routine that we spoke about, that'll probably take like 7 or 8 minutes, maybe 10. If you keep that up consistently, that compounds, you know, that appreciates over time. That's gonna make the biggest difference. Like use breathwork as like a foundation to build everything else upon, even the meditation. All right.
I love it. Thank you so much, Joe. Like you're honestly incredible. Guys, can we just like put some love in the chat box here for Joe? And just like say like thanks for being on here with us tonight. I know I'm sure we all learned so much in this workshop. And yeah, thank you so much for being on here. We appreciate you so much.
I'm shy now. You're very
Yeah.
sweet.
Oh, and do you want to let everybody know how they can get like follow you on social media, how they can reach out to you if they say want to do any holotropic breathwork sessions with you, if they want to do any coaching with you? How is it they would get a hold of you?
Sure. I will post in the chat box my Instagram, Breathwork Coach. Still can't believe that handle wasn't taken. And then you can add me on Facebook too, which is just there.
And if you guys go back into the event page that I created in the Facebook group, I've got his Instagram and Facebook in there as well. So you can go in there and follow him, or just reach out to me and ask me and I can send it to you.
Awesome. Yeah, we're going to be, not to plug, but might as well, releasing, I'm doing a group coaching program starting very soon at the beginning of October. It's called Breathe. Super excited about it. So you'll be learning the techniques that we did today, plus a whole array of others. And then it goes into like where it's like the basis, and we have all this other stuff and accountability and live guided breathwork sessions twice a week. And it's crazy. I'm really excited. So if you're interested, let me know.
Incredible. I'm so excited for you. It's honestly going to be so good. Like everything that I've done with you, it's literally just been absolutely incredible. So if that interests you guys, definitely reach out and get some info on that. That's so exciting.
And just
Awesome.
like, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Just shoot me a message. Don't have to buy my course. It's good. Don't worry. Cool. Thank you, Laura. It's good to see you.
You're welcome. Awesome. Well, have a good night, everybody. Love you guys all so much. And everybody watching the recording, you guys are awesome as well. And yeah, we will see all of you guys on the next workshop. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.